the Nashville skyline in the background. I think it's pretty gorgeous shot. It actually just rained, so it is so humid here, so hot and humid. That's kind of the theme of this weekend. Of course, any race in July or August or whatever is going to be like that. So, wow, what a day. As it turns out, Colton Herta was just as fast as he showed yesterday. That was no fluke. And I think certainly the story going into today or tomorrow, whenever I get this uploaded, is going to be the fact that who can beat Herta? A lot of times the guy's unbeatable when he's up front. We've seen that at Laguna Seca. We've seen that at St. Petersburg. So if it's not Herta, then who, I think, is the story going into it. I'm going to pass it off to the David of the past, because we got a quick opportunity to have an exclusive interview with the pole sitter of the Music City Grand Prix, the inaugural running, Colton Herta. Let's take a look at that right now. So we call this guy Big Chungus because he runs a big fat rabbit on his overalls. But I think there's a different type of bunny that describes Colton Herta today, and that's the Energizer Bunny. You went out there on reds, and you kept going and going and going, and you got faster and faster. Like, we never usually see that. Like, what'd you do?
I don't know. The Reds were hanging on this weekend. You know, I think it's good track length. It's only 2 miles, right? But you have a lot of straight, so not a lot of corners that put a lot of load on the tires. So I think that's why maybe it took a little bit longer for the tires to warm up and get in the operating window. So 3 laps for me was kind of like the golden number.
Yeah, and you have been on it all weekend. I mean, it's just like right out of the box, you were quickest. I think you were second in one session, but pretty much outside of that, you've swept the weekend thus far. I mean, how do you keep that momentum going, and how did you roll off the box so quick?
Actually, the Honda simulator was super accurate, which I don't usually take into the simulator a lot. Like, I driving-wise, I think it's good for setup-wise, especially on the ovals. It works really well for me. But this place was really accurate, braking points and bumps. Obviously, the laser scanned the track, so it should be. But I was just surprised by how well the barriers were put together versus here. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty spot on. It was really accurate.
I know that you had some concerns earlier in the weekend with the track surface, and I know they fixed those. What has that kind of communication been like between you, the drivers, and IndyCar, try to make this event as good as it can be?
Well, I mean, yeah, they're always really, very open to hearing the feedback from the drivers and moving barriers that we think would be in a better position somewhere else, or, like that, grinding down the bump going into turn 4. Yeah, I think it's really nice when you have a series that listens to the drivers and makes changes, because it would suck for us. I mean, they're not the ones driving over there, so they understand that. They fixed it. Actually, a bunch of changes to the track after the track walk. A lot of the barriers got moved to where we thought were better. Small changes, a few inches here and there, and everybody was a lot happier with it.
So one of the common themes, I've spoken to a lot of drivers this weekend, and the common theme has been, we're expecting chaos. We saw a lot of chaos throughout the weekend thus far. How do you handle a race that you're expecting a lot of yellows, potentially even red flags, things happening that will split the pit sequences potentially? How do you plan for that, or is it just what you've been doing all weekend and just go as fast as possible?
That's all I can worry about. But, I'm not too sure. We always say, right, like, oh my God, there's a lot of yellows in practice and stuff. And then the race, it usually tones down. And, we've had a bunch of races where a bunch of guys have wadded things up in practice, and then it's been a green flag race the whole time. So it's kind of hard to say. I hope there's no yellows because, 1, I want to lead and I don't want anybody to get anywhere near me. And 2, it's just going to open up the windows. The windows are really small right now, 4-lap windows for pitting, which if you're in my place, right, that closed up strategy, it makes everybody pit at the same point. You don't really get burned by a yellow with those. So I hope that there's no yellows and it just stays green the whole time, obviously. But for the fans, yeah, you better hope for a lot of yellows. It'll definitely make it interesting. Like, coming on to those straights and breaking into turn 4 and turn 9 is so sketchy on cold tires that if guys are, ballsy enough to make some moves, it'll be a really good race. And I know a lot of people are like, it's one lane and blah, 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 but obviously we're not passing there. We're passing at the end of the straights. and turn 9 and turn 4 are going to be awesome. It's going to be a great race.
Remember, everybody, blame him. Send him all the hate if you hate the race tomorrow. The final question, it's actually a pretty interesting one because I thought it was a really sweet gesture that they named the pole award after Brian Clausen. I mean, talk about what that's like to win the first Brian Clausen pole award.
No, yeah, that was super cool, and I didn't really know about it until I got it, so it was awesome, cool little trophy that I get to put up in the trophy case. I didn't know Brian personally; I'd never met him actually, but I think it was amazing. Obviously, what he was doing sprint cars and stuff, and then to come over to IndyCar and do the Indy 500 and stuff like that. So it was really cool and really special. I got to meet his family for the first time too, which is awesome. So yeah, it's something that I'll remember forever, and obviously that'll go in the trophy cabinet when it gets home.
All right, pole sitter Colton Herta. Thank you so much, bud. So this video so far has been a Colton Herta love fest, and I would like to talk about a bunch of the other drivers because there were some great performances today. The first guy I want to give a shout out is Felix Rosenqvist. He's been at his own admission, not very strong this year. He hasn't had the results thus far. And to get in the Fast Six, especially when you've got the competition of Pato Award. Now, granted, of course, Pato was kind of on the back foot from crashing in practice yesterday, but, Felix finally kind of nailing it, getting in the Fast Six, and we'll see what his result is tomorrow, but certainly an improvement in form versus before the summer break for Mr. Rosenqvist. The driver who replaced him in the number 10, I think, is another driver to watch for, and that's Alex Palou. Now, the reason we're watching him is because he qualified on pace in third position, but unfortunately he had a grid place penalty, or has a grid place penalty, which will knock him back 6 places to 9th because they had an unimproved engine change after the Portland test. So Palou is going to be, but then again, you think about it, because he had a grid place penalty at Detroit after they changed an engine for the Indianapolis 500, and he was pretty strong in that race, a street circuit as well. So I would look at him as kind of maybe the leader to be the spoiler for Colton Herta's almost perfect weekend. Scott Dixon starting along the outside of him. I believe I heard a stat from the IndyCar folks that this is the first time Dixon started on the front row of a road course since Laguna of 2019. And of course, we know that Colton Herta was the pole sitter that time and ran away with the race. But of course, when you get Herta and Dixon side by side, a lot of times we see fireworks. You kind of go back to Texas of 2019 and go, yeah, that could happen. And that's the thing too. You look at the first corner here at Nashville, and you think, that could certainly be a chaos area. The rest of the track has really proven that it's treacherous today. I mean, to borrow a line from Paul Page, one of the best, Joseph Newgarden, crashed during qualifying. And one of the rookies, ironically enough to say it, Jimmy Johnson, also got into the wall today during qualifying. Believe it or not, the qualifying session was less interrupted than I worried it would be, but I think it still delivered some of the signature chaos that I think a lot of us are expecting. Tomorrow, I think there's really 2 options. I think, like I kind of blamed Herta, remember, blame him if the race is boring, but it really could be a Colton Herta runaway, kind of his signature way to win races. Or we could see a ton of cautions, a ton of restarts, a ton of unpredictability. And who knows, it could be any one of these 27 starters, a series high since Long Beach of 2013, that we could see in Victory Circle tomorrow. I mean, again, I kind of point to Carlos Huertas, got a win on a street course race. So anything is possible if that happened. So thank you guys for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsport content. I'll see you in the next video when we are wrapping up the inaugural running of the Music City Grand Prix here from Nashville.